This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, I was speaking in mute. Now you can hear me, right? Okay. I was
Yes.
speaking in mute. Yes. So I'm just recalling
Yeah,
what we uh, what I was telling is nothing but we have seen yesterday what is a string concepts actually. So string is
mhm.
basically uh, a class in Java where it is immutable. So what is the meaning of immutability? Where, for example, you created a string object, and if you are trying to change the content of the string object, it will not change. What happens? It is going to create one more new object. So the content will not be changed to a string. So once you created an object, that content cannot be changed. So that is the reason you call it immutability. And why your string is immutable? Because of lot of the reasons. One of the reason, like, you can take that as security. So because when you're trying to interact with the database, like, you keep that user ID and password mostly in form of strings. So, and that's the reason they given as an immutability concept. So for example, if assume that it is mutable, if what is the meaning of mutable? If you are trying to change the content of the string, and if you are allowed to do this on the same object, what happens? Your user ID password will change, right? So which is violating your security rules. So that's the reason, like, that is one of the reason. Like, you have lot of other reasons, and I'm not going in deeper where the string creates, and not much more on that. I'm just giving a basic idea on it. And I've just given this example also yesterday. You can run even and see. And you have string buffer and string builder. They are mutable. So what is the meaning of mutable? For string buffer and string builder, they are also predefined classes in Java, where when you are trying to change the content of the string buffer and string builder, they are going to change it, right? It will not create the new object. So you have some requirement in such way also. For example, when you are trying to read some data from the file, right? So when you try to read the data, you'll not be reading entire data at once, right? So you'll be reading it line by line, or some you will be reading some data from some location and some other data from some other location. So in that case, you do not want to create a new object for every line, or when you are trying to read it. So you have a requirement that you want to make all the data into one object. So what you do, you will append to that same string. So then in that case, you will use string buffer and string builder, where it is not going to create a new object. It is going to be in the, so when you are trying to append it, it will have the same what I meant to say, hash code, right? Okay. And we started yesterday with the servlets. So what is the meaning? Why
Uh,
you have servlets? Sorry?
Satish, one question. I mean, hash code you are saying, let's say a string buffer, right?
Yes.
Right. So my question is here that hash code, when what is the exact use? Can you please come again? Because I'm using this buffer and all. So I'm just appending it in the end. Uh,
Mhm.
Right. Every time I'm appending in the end, but I never use this hash code. So I was creating one payload and all in a load runner. So, but I
No,
never
no.
use this hash code.
I have just written this hash code just to show that that object is having different hash code. So as I told you, a
Okay.
string is immutable, right? Sorry, immutable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Immutable. For example, I just created a string object of hello, and what I tried yesterday is nothing but I just added for the string something word called hello world, right? So then what happened?
Right,
What
right.
should we output? So for this, S1 will have hello world, and S will have hello, right?
Hello. Yeah.
Assume that if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
your string is mutable, what should happen? It should be having in the same object. But what I told you is nothing but it will be creating two different objects, But the reason, because it is immutable. You cannot able to change the content of the string. So for that, I have just used that hash code to show that
Okay.
they're having both. There are both objects created and both have different address location. So for that reason, I have used it. So you are using
Okay.
string buffer, right? So when you are trying to do an append, it will not create a new object. It will be in the same object.
No, no. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Same object.
It will not
So
create string buffer or string.
do we ever use just a query? Do we ever use hash code in any anywhere? I mean, in any programming or
Yes, actually, you have there are a lot of things. Actually, I have not even discussing it because as of the time constraints, like I need to tell you, if we goes with what is an equals method and what is an hash code method, and when you need to override it, and when you want to compare the two objects, you use these scenarios. There are a lot of things, but I do not want to confuse, or I am not extending it that. But if the time permits, I
okay,
will totally doing that, and you can ask me for that queries actually. So as per the
sure,
content, like as per the syllabus, the topics was not involved actually.
okay, okay,
But you generally use it for the object comparison, like you have an object class where you have equals method and you have an hash code method. And I do not want to again confuse the part.
yeah. Generally, we are doing string to integer and then we are comparing.
Yes, yes. So what is generally a servlet is used to develop web applications. So you have web applications or enterprise applications. Web application is little lighter than your enterprise application. So your enterprise application will be supporting some other services like your. I'm just recalling it. That's the reason I was a little faster, right? So your enterprise application is going to support for banking, like where it will be having a lot of modules, a lot of services that you will be going to add it, like security, transaction part, everything. So what is generally a web application? Anything that runs in a web, you call it as web application. You will send some request and you will get some response, like your Gmail and everything. They are nothing but, or your Facebook, everything are nothing but your web applications. And this is what the difference between your web applications and your enterprise applications. And what is a servlet and what is a server? So server is a common for all the technologies that you use, whether it's a .NET or Python or whatever. Then there is a backend, there is some server that is going to store your data. Like you have database servers, and there are like much concept on the server part also. But here in Java, servlet is different and server is different. What is generally a servlet is nothing but sorry. Sorry. So here, as I told you, when you are trying to send some request, right? When you are trying to log into the Gmail, so you will be entering your user ID and password, and it has to go to the backend, and you will get some information, right? So before getting some information, there should be some code should be there. What that has to do, it has to convert your HTTP object to Java object or .NET object somewhere, and it has to check with the details with the database and sends and response. So for that, you need to write some code. So whenever at the web applications, when you want to develop that kind of web application and the backend you consider as a Java technology, then there is a servlet concept. So if you consider some, what I mean to say, .NET, you will have .NET, there is some other technology, right? So, but whatever the request that transforms in the form of HTTP, and whatever the request that you get, it will be in the form of HTTP response. And what are the browsers? Like we have all these are nothing but your browsers, your Chrome, IE, and most popular one is, as you know, that is a Chrome, right? And what these browsers will do, this is a browser, like you can call them as a client. right? Based on that, by using the browsers only, we can see some whatever the request that we want to send. We take the help of browser and we'll enter the details in the browser, and browser will take our request to the server, right? It may be in US or whatever the location, and it will get the response, and that response will be in the form of HTML. And your what your browser, when you got it in HTML, your browser will transmit that HTML to the user understandable format, like whatever the text boxes that you see, everything our backend code was an HTML. And I even suggested you to go to the W3 schools and read more about that HTML, where you have simple tags and all. And next, what we need to see, is nothing but you have, there are two kinds. So as I told you, your request is going to in the form of HTTP, and you are going to get the response in the form of HTTP. So there are two types here, HTTP and HTTPS. So HTTP is nothing but S stands for security. So whenever you log into the bank applications, you will be having this HTTPS. A fast recall, because this is like a new topic and it should be understood. So we are going to develop this kind of a sample project now. So we'll have a browser, we'll have a user ID and password, we'll enter it, and what we do, we'll just go to the backend and we'll read that user ID password. And what we do, we'll interact with the database and check whether that user ID password is existent in the database. If exists, we'll say, okay, your login successful. If does not exist, we'll say your login failure. So this is a sample web application that we are going to do in this upcoming session. So this is like a sample servlet flow that we have discussed yesterday, and we'll see that with an application. So whatever the request, it will be the HTTP request. This will be HTTP request will be converted to a Java object, and your service will read the request, and you will be interacting with the database. And after that, your Java object again will be converted into the HTTP response and sent back. Whether success or failure, HTML response will be sent to the browser, and browser will understand that HTML and will show in based on user understandable format. Like whatever you see in the browser are everything are nothing but your elements. So here, first of all, to develop a web application, you need to create a dynamic web project. So here, new. For example, if it is normal Java project, what we have done, we have, as of now, we just created generally a Java project, right? So where there is no web technology like structure for a web application, but when you want to design a web application, you need some structure. Like you need your your web.xml. So we'll see why that, what is that web.xml, why you need a structure. You'll get to know everything. So, but when you want to develop a web application, so here you can go here and you see an option called dynamic web project. So you even can develop an enterprise application that we are not going to do as per this tutorial. So we are just going to develop only the dynamic web project. That is nothing but your application. So I'm just going to com.login. Otherwise, com.first project. First. I'm giving it as com.dynamic, com.first dynamic project. So here we need to generate this web.xml. I'll tell you what is this web.xml. So as I told you yesterday, to develop a simple web application, you need three things. One is nothing but your HTML page, right? So where you are going to enter your data, right? And that will be carried as a request to the server, right? So at a server, you need a servlet code, servlet file, where it is going to read your request from the browser, and what it has to do, it will do the processing and it will send a response back to the client. That is nothing but your HTML, and you will see the response, right? So but to make these two interactions to happen from the client to the browser, from the client to the server, and from server to the client, like I'm talking about in application level itself. So from HTML to the you can say from HTML to the your servlet, and servlet to HTML, you need some intermediate file that is nothing but your web.xml. Because when you take a real-time project, you will have many HTMLs, many servlets, right? So, but there's some point someone has to tell, okay, for this HTML, this is my servlet class. For this HTML, this is my servlet class. So who is going to tell is nothing but your web.xml. I can say web.xml is just like a translator. It will tell, okay, this HTML has to go to this servlet. You get that more clarity once we do a small application. Please stop me whenever you're not clear with some terminology or you're not clear with any part of mine.
Sure.
I hope as of now you're clear. So this is the project I created. You see, this is different structure. For example, when you create a simple Java project, what you got only the JRE folder where you have all the JRE dependencies, jars, and you have an SRS folder, source folder, where you will be creating the packages and your classes. But this is a simple Java project. But when you want to develop a dynamic web project, your structure is little different, right? So here, why you see this Java resources is just you will be adding your Java files here. So you'll have source here, you will have that .java files, you'll be adding it here, and you have the libraries. By default, there is a JRE library, but when you want some other external libraries, you'll be adding it here. And you have so you have a folder called web content. So in that you have a folder called web.inf. There you have this web products. So by default it got generated because I just made that click to generate the web.xml. So you can see the code which is present in the web.xml is similar to your HTML. So the code is very simple. Like you will be opening some tag and you need to close the tag. Whatever the tag that you open, it has to be closed. The same your HTML code looks also like the same. So you see this is nothing but welcome file list, the tag they have opened and they have closed it. So for all this, you have a parent tag in web.xml, that is web app. So web app is the parent tag which you opened here and which you closed here. And you see there, whatever the tag file, welcome file, whatever the tag I should open, that should be closed for sure. So we'll write the code, some part of the code here, and we'll see. So what we do, we'll now create an HTML file. So what is an HTML file? So as I told you, your HTML, whatever the content that is present in the HTML will be understandable by your browser. So now what is my requirement? As I told you, I'll be just creating an HTML file where I'll have two text boxes, one text box to enter the user ID and the other for some password, and I should have a submit button. So where I need to create an HTML file is inside web content, that is a structure, because whenever your servlet is starting, it is going to directly go to the web content and see going to find that HTML file is there in that web content or not. So you should not be adding it in web.inf, you should be adding it in web content, that is a default location. So here I'll add that HTML new. So you can see an HTML file option here, right? Some name I'll give login. So this is nothing but my login.html. So you see, it is same like your web.xml also. Whatever the tag that you open, you need to close that. It is very simple HTML language. So the top tag and the parent tag for is nothing but an HTML which you opened in this way, and you need to be closed with this backslash. And after that, I open an head tag and I'll close it, where it is going to contain your title or some metadata that you're going to write in your head tag. So whatever the thing that you want to show, or your text boxes or your submit buttons, all these things you will be writing it in your body tag. So I opened a body tag and I closed it. So now what I told, I want the text box. I want this text box, right? So when I want, sorry, someone.
I have a query here. Yeah, I have a query here. This
Yes, yes.
char set, right? Character set, ISO 885. So what all comes into that? Meta tag, you have open one, right?
Yes, yes. So this is your metadata actually. So it is by default, it is going to be generated. What I mean to say, it is metadata means it is the information. How to tell? Can I tell? I'll just check what is this IOCs. So generally, what is this metadata is nothing but the data which is an I'm not getting that word to tell you. You heard about metadata terminology anytime?
Yeah. Metadata I have heard, but yeah, that's fine. I'll also search over the internet later on.
Okay, okay. Even I'm not sure what is by default it's going to generate it, and I'll check more clearly and let you know. Okay.
Sure, sure.
It is just like an extra information that you have. Okay. That I cannot able to express it properly. Okay, I'll just even go through that. Fine. Here, what I need a user ID and I need a text box. So for that, your HTML has provided a default tag called input type equals to text. So when I type that, I'll be getting a text. Input type equals to text. And I'll give some name to that. So why a name is nothing but I'm giving a name is nothing but that value I need to be read at the backend. So that is nothing but name is just like an ID I'm giving it. So what I want here, I want that as a name. And what I need it as a password. So when you have a password, for that also you have a input type equals to password tag. Otherwise, you can use a text box. When you use a text box, that password will be visible. But when you use input type equals to password, then that is not visible. Type equals to password. And I'll put the name as T. And I'm just closing this. And what one more thing I need a submit button because after using and rendering a name, user ID, password, I'll have a button to submit that data. So I'll just enter. To submit. Value equals to what I just want to display on the screen. So I need to be writing this under a form tag. Form some action equals to what I want that action will be at my backend. You will get to know why I'm writing this form action equals to login. So this is nothing but I'll have written a simple HTML file. So why I'm returning this as an action because on click on submit button, so it has to go to the some servlet, right? So generally as of now I'm taking only one HTML, but when you take it in a real-time application, you'll have lot of HTMLs, right? Whatever you see, for example, when I did some tutorial also, you will be seeing lot of HTML. So assume that there are some other servlet for each and every HTML. So when you go to the Flipkart or Amazon, you'll have lot of buttons, right? So based on some action, you need some output to be triggered, right? Everything will not be written in one class, right? So that's the reason you will have a different servlet, will have different HTML to identify, okay, this servlet, this is for an HTML. You have a something like form action on submit button. This is going to be going to your web.xml and find the servlet name for that. We'll see that. You get more clarity once I have developed web.xml as well as servlet. So next I have done with login.html. And what is the other thing I need to do? I need to write a servlet class. What is a servlet class? That is the one which will convert, it's a container which will convert your, which is going to take that HTTP Java HTTP request as a Java object. And what it will do, it has to read this data, your user name and password, and it has to interact with the database, and you do some manipulations in that class, and you will send some response back to the browser again. So to develop that servlet, there are three ways. As I told you yesterday, there are three ways that you can develop your servlet. One is by implementing servlet interface, by extending generic servlet, by extending HTTP servlet. So HTTP servlet is a major one. Like the most people are using that HTTP servlet, and I'll tell what are the differences and why people are using that HTTP servlet. So now I'll just go directly with HTTP servlet. So new. So how you have a class option, you have an option called to write a servlet also. That is, servlet is nothing but a Java class that will extend or implement some other class which will get your servlet properties, right? So for example, I have written a normal class and I'll extend some class, right? A parent class. What happens? That is going some X class. What I'll get in as per Java concept, that class is going to get the parent properties, right? Same here. So you will have some named Java class that is going to extend a predefined generic servlet class, which is going to get the properties of your parent class, and that behaves like your servlet. So I'm just creating under a package called com dot some registration. So class name I'll give it as something like login server. So this is my class. So you have to get and do post methods in this. So I should be adding a Tomcat server because this is from your servlet, right? So this is, as I told you, you need a container, right? Here, when you want to develop a web application, what is your container or the thing is nothing but your server. You can see that is nothing but Tomcat. When you go for your enterprise application, you use JBoss and all this. You can see this point over here. So web applications runs in web container. The container could have a special features like transaction and the JMS. Could not have it. The containers will not have the special features. And what are the examples like your Tomcat and Java? So now we are going to use this Tomcat server to run your Java application. And you see this enterprise applications is going to run on WebLogic or JBoss in IBM WebSphere, which has this JMS transactions features, which is not supported by Tomcat, which is supported by your JBoss. So now we do with Tomcat as a normal web application. So you can download this Tomcat from internet itself, like Tomcat 8 or 9. There are a lot of versions available. You can do the download. Already I have downloaded it and just adding it over. Click here and you have an Apache Tomcat. And I have this version. Let me see what are the version I have. going to give me an error that is not supported. I'm going to that location. So I need to be using Tomcat 7. So you see that project, I'm just adding it. As of now, I have only one project. I'm just adding it to the container. Now I added that web application, but still Tomcat. Sorry.
How did you do this?
Okay, I'll do it from the beginning and delete the server. So here there is a place in an Eclipse you will have to add a servers, right? So once you click on this, it will show this option. Right click and to add the servers, right? So as of now, I have downloaded Tomcat 7 version, but you can download the Tomcat 8 or 9 from the internet, and based on that, you can select here which one you want to add it, right? So already I have downloaded and it is available in my folder itself. So you can download it from the internet. It is very simple. You can just type Tomcat download 9 version. It will just show the steps, and it is very, very simple to download it.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall I show that downloading? No required, right? I'm trying to open it.
No, I already have Tomcat in my.
Okay, fine. Okay, so you can select the 7 version, and okay, already I have added to that. So that's the reason it is not. If you see, I just added it here. I just went to that folder and just frozen and kept here. That's it. So I was added it, and that's the reason it is not asking me again. Okay. So I just selected that 7 version. I went to the location. Okay. But still it is not removing, I guess. So I just went to the C folder and selected the Tomcat. That's it. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So I just added the Tomcat, but you see there was still some errors, right? You see what is that error? It is saying that it cannot resolve HTTP servlet. So these are coming from which one? They are coming from JavaX. This is from your Tomcat itself. So this Tomcat should be enabled. So once this get enabled, your errors will go. So I still added the project, but why it is not getting reflected? Because I need to enable that in my projects. So what I have to go is I am going to the projects. So this is my dynamic web project, right? So here you will right click on this. You will have a project face sets option. I'll go to properties. I have an option called project face sets, where you see there is an option called runtime. In runtime, your Apache Tomcat was not selected, and that's the reason you are getting this error. I'll just select this and apply, and everything will go. Apply and close. So you see now it got your Tomcat got enabled, and that's the reason it is not showing it. Now we have two methods. What is nothing but doGet and doPost. So you will be writing your service code in doGet and doPost. but based on your HTTP request. So as I told you, your request, this servlet is developed based on your HTTP things actually. So your request will be in the form of HTTP. So from your, when you pass that from HTML itself, you can pass in the form of get method or post method. So if you're passing in the form of get method, you need to be calling, you need to write your code in do get. So if you're from HTML, if you pass from the post method, if you make the method as a post, this action here in this form action, if the method is post, you can pass that as in post method. You should write that logic in post method, your service logic. So if I say method equals to post, then what, where I need to write my logic, I need to write my logic into post. So
How did you get this code? How did it automatically generate the code?
which one?
The second tab. Yeah. Yeah.
You're asking servlet code or which one you're asking?
Servlet code. Servlet.
That's what I have just from an Eclipse. I just selected an option called to write a servlet, right? New.
Okay.
Here I have, when you click and you made it as a class as a Java. So what happens? It is going to create a Java file, right?
Mhm.
So where you have a main method and all, it will give some default structure, right? Eclipse
Yeah.
will give,
Mhm.
right? When you click on the servlet, it is going to create a servlet and it will give the default structure.
Mhm.
So as I told you, there are three ways to make your servlet. But here what I have chosen to extend an HTTP servlet. So when you are trying to extend an HTTP servlet, you have these methods in that and you need to be overriding in that. So what are the methods that get by default it got overridden? Do get and do post. And you see there is no logic they have written. So just they have overwritten that do get and. So you can do the same thing without, you can write a Java class and you do extends and write this. But instead of that, I just selected an option and it given the template. So where I can start coding here itself. Clear?
Yeah.
So by default, if you are not having any method, that is get. So then where I need to write my code, I need to be writing in do get, my service code. Like what I should, I'll get the request and response. I'll send the some response back to the server, right? So I'll be writing everything in this do get. So here, what I need to do, first of all, I need to read this name, user ID, password, and I have to interact with the database. So as of now, what we do, we'll just read this user ID password and we'll just print again back to the server, again back to the browser. And I'll just introduce like what is an SQL and how to establish the database connection. And then what we do, we'll just try to interact with the database and see. As of now, we'll just get this user ID password that we entered in the browser and we'll send the same back to the browser again, just adding that your user ID password is something. So whatever the data that I entered from the browser, it will be there in my request object. So it is going to directly call your doGet method and you have a request object. So from this request object, I'll get a data. How I'll get it? I'll just call request.get parameter. So here I'll pass the parameter as a key. So here why I'm passing it as a T1, because whatever the value that user entered, for that I'm giving a name called text. Sorry, name called T1. So that I passed it in server. Make it more clear. So what I've developed, I am developing a HTML page where it is going to have two text boxes. One is a name. So you'll have a text box here to enter the name. and next one is the password. And which will have another text box where the user is entering the password, and we'll have one more text box where you will have a submit button. Right? This is a simple thing. So for this, whenever I want to read the value that is entered by user in this text box, so I need some ID to be given that, right? So for this, what is an ID I was giving internally? T1. So what is an ID I was giving internally for this in HTML page? T2, right? Now this request is sent to the server, right? So you have a request object will be gets created, and how the request objects looks. The request object will have a T1 and the value that you entered. For example, I am entering something like Raj here as a value, name, and password is something 123. So your T1 will have Raj. T1 will hold a value called Raj. Your T2 will hold the value called password, that is 123. And this is my request object. Now this request object is passed to your server, right? And inside the server, like you have a server. So here what I have a service method which has two parameters. One is your request, one more is your response. So what I need to get, first of all, I need to get this user ID and name and password. So from the request object. So how I'm getting it? So request dot get parameter T1 I'm passing. So what is what I'm going to get? I'm going to get the return of string. String is a thing I'm going to get a name. So request dot get parameter T1, I'm going to get a name. I'm going to store it here. So next I'm going to get a password. String password. So where I'll store, how I'll get it, sorry, request dot get parameter. Here, what is the thing I need to pass it as T2. Why I'm passing it as T2? I have given name called T2, so that will return me the password that the user entered. Now, generally, what we do incoming, like we'll just interact with the database and check whether that password, and now as in that like in that service code, what we got the user ID, name and password which is entered by the user in a browser. After this point, what I need to do, I need to cross check with the name and password with the database. So we'll do that later point of time. We'll just see how to connect to the database and all, and we'll see that. And as of now, what I'll do, I'll send the response back to the user, like hello. I'll take this name and say that your hello, I'll just add hello and just pass that name. So for that, I need to send a response. For that, I need to use a predefined object called response. So if your response has a method called getWriter, so which is going to return me a print writer object. So I'm just holding with some reference variable called out here. So when you want to print something on a browser, you can just use out.println. So what I want to print, I just want to add hello to that. I'm reading the password, but I'm not printing that. Whatever the name. If you want, you can print the password also, which is not correct, but if you want, I can print it. So I'm printing the password and the name, like hello, name and password, whatever he enters. So now we're done with the HTML file and the servlet. So next what we need to do, we need to write a web.xml. Why need a web.xml is the one which will establish the relationship between your HTML page and your servlet. So is it clear up to this, what I've written over here?
Yes.
Okay.
But you are taking whatever we are doing the input on this HTML page, you are getting it from the get by this do get method, and yeah, get parameters, and you are printing name and the password.
Yes, what I'm just getting that and printing it. Make sure that I got the data and I'm just sending again some response back to the browser. Okay. So now here, what is an action I have? I have an action called hello login. So by using this login action, I'll map that in web.xml. So why? Because here you have this login HTML you redesigned and login servlet. So whenever I click on submit button, what should happen? My user ID and password should form as a request, and that should have passed to the parameter to the do-get, right? As a request object and a response object. So how the request object will contain the data that I entered in a browser, right? So that's the reason I can able to get it. So here you are not calling the do-get method. So who is internally calling? Your servlet container is calling the do-get method. So to call the do-get method, your container should have a relationship between from the HTML to the servlet, right? So for example, you'll have 100 HTMLs and 100 servlets, right? In application. So for which HTML it has to go to the which servlet. So how it will know? So you need some establishing of relationship between your HTML and servlet that you do it in your web.xml. So how I'll do? Let's see. So we will have two main tags. How we opened this welcome file and closed it. Similarly, I'll open a tag called servlet. And I close this tag, servlet tag. So I have opened a servlet tag and I close the servlet tag. So inside your servlet tag, again, you have two more child tags. That is nothing but your servlet name, servlet class. So servlet name is just like an ID. I have a servlet name. As I told you, whatever the tag I opened, for sure I need to close it. And I'm closing that servlet. So I'm giving a just like an ID login. So this is nothing but just an ID. So and after servlet name, what I need to give? A servlet class. So this you can be giving any name. So it's just an ID. You can give login also, anything. So I'm closing that servlet class tag. Here I need to give a fully qualified name. What is the meaning of fully qualified name? Is the class name with the package. So I want my request to go to the login servlet class, right? So this is nothing but a simple class which get the servlet properties by extending your HTTP servlet, right? So here it is in which package? com.registration. Under registration package, you have the servlet. So fully qualified name is nothing but giving with the package name, because it has to go from the package to the class, right? And the class name is login servlet. So I have opened a servlet tag and I closed it. Inside I have two child tags, where one is servlet name, this is like an ID, and one more is a servlet class where I'll give the class name. After this, I'll have two more tags, other tag that is nothing but servlet mapping. I opened a servlet mapping and I've just closed that servlet mapping. Okay. Here I have other two child tags. One more is the servlet name, which I've given here. So I think you can guess what is the name I'll be giving. Whatever the name I've given here, the same name should be given over here. This is just for a mapping. And what I need to have another tag called URL pattern. I opened that URL pattern and I closed it. So your servlet mapping is another tag which opens here and closes here, and which will have other two child tags. Inside that, one is a servlet name and one more is nothing but URL pattern. So whatever the name that you have given here for this login servlet will be giving over here. So the main motto of this web.xml is to establish the relationship between your HTML file and your servlet. So once I click on submit button of this, your request has to go to this, right? So your container has to call a do get method. Your container will create a login servlet object, and it will call a do get method with passing two parameters. One is a request and one more is a response. The request is the data that you have here. So that is happening because of this HTML web.xml where you are establishing the relationship. So I think you can know what is the URL pattern I will be giving it here. So here, what is the URL pattern I'll give? Whatever I have written here. What is an action I have written? Login. The same URL pattern I'll be here. So login getting confused, right? So I'll give a name called something like okay, otherwise login serve something. Login serve any name. I'm just giving it as a name called login serve. You can use some ABC also, which is irrelevant also, not a problem. ABC. Here it is an ABC. This is just like a mapping. So what happens whenever you click on submit button, so it is going to take this action, right? So it is going to take, your container is going to take this action, and it will come to the web.xml, and it is going to search this action, okay, in the servlet mapping tags. So where it find this action in this URL pattern, okay, which is matching with the action that you mentioned in the HTML file, and based on this action, it is going to read the servlet name. So servlet name is nothing but your ABC. It is going to read that ABC. So 1 minute. Sorry. So with this ABC, it is going to search this ABC in the servlet name. So servlet tag. So it finds this ABC here. So for this ABC, what is a class? It is login servlet. So by that way, your relationship has been established from your HTML and servlet class. And when you click on submit button, it is going to go to this servlet. I hope you're clear with this, right? So once we'll run this application and see, and you get more clarity on it. And I'll even try to debug it also. And so I've done a simple web application development. That's it. Like an HTML web.xml page, HTML file, and a servlet. So what I'll do here, I'll just right click on this. So there are two options. One is run and debug. Debug is nothing but where you, as I told you in the same Java concept, right, where you can able to go each and every step and see what is happening. So I'm just running it on. So now I should not be running it as a Java application, where I should be running on the server, on your Tomcat server, debug on server. So now I'm just starting the server, and you see for this you have only one project. So you can create more projects and add to the server. So as of now, we have only one project that we added it, and we are starting that server. So your Tomcat engine is getting started. So you see it has been started in this many seconds. Okay, you can go to the console and see it has started in the port number 808. So HTTP, we are not using HTTPS. As I told, everything goes in the form of HTTP or HTTPS. So localhost, because I'm running it in my local host. So if you are using some other from system, you'll be using that IP address or you have an URL. And 8080 is nothing but the port number, default port of your Tomcat server. And com.first is nothing but dynamic project is my application name. So followed by an HTML file. So here, what is my HTML file? My HTML file is login.html, right? So it should show my HTML file. So this is what we designed it, right? So we have design name, password. So if you want to break after this, you can just use br backslash. So which will be coming in a new line. So name, password, and a submit button. So that's what we see here. So you can just refresh it, name, password, and submit button. So I'll just enter some name called Raj, some password called 346, right? So once I click on submit button, it should say hello Raj and your password is 369, like that. So you see, I have given the input type as nothing but a password, and that's the reason you cannot able to see it is in the dark color. Click on submit button. So why you are getting this? Because this code was there. Server.get context path. Don't worry about it. So you can run this in your
Initially, it was not coming as a HTML. So, did we miss some tag or did we?
sorry,
Did it come?
can you come again?
No, I'm saying initially it was not running as a HTML, right? The entire URL was not HTML. It was just login, right?
Yes, yes.
So
That's the
did we miss some tag or do we need to, or this is the process?
no. Actually, in a welcome content, you can add it. Generally, when you go for an application, it will start. You will have an URL and you'll not type some login.html. So why this is coming? Because I have not in a web.xml. You see, your in welcome file is index.html, but we have not have an index.html. We have written in login.html. So that is the reason your
Yeah,
content
yeah, got it.
first search for index.html. So which will not have any code, right? So it will by default it have an index.html. So if what I have been login, and that's the reason I'm typing it. So if I change in a welcome content, that will not be the case. I'll show that also.
Okay.
So I'm just running that in a browser. You can run this in a browser also, right? In Chrome. That is nothing but my default like Eclipse provided browser. So there's nothing but I'm running in my Google Chrome. So I'll enter a password, a name called, you can see. Raviteja something, right? And I'll enter password called 123456. So I'll click on submit button. So hello Raviteja, and your password is. So that's what I'm just sending as a response back from the browser, right? So to the browser, right, from my servlet class. So that is what it is going to get shown to you. So I have started in a debug mode, and that's the reason it is coming all these things, breakpoint and everything, to show that debugging. Okay, so whatever you told, right, I'll not start it. So for that, I'll just remove this and I'll put here login.html. Correct spelling, right? So whatever I have given, that should be the correct one. So now when I start an application, I'll start this and it is going to start with that default. So it's not required you to write that login.html and all. So by default, your project is going to start with that. And even you can debug also. So for that, I can just put a breakpoint over here. So where this is my first place that your application gets, right? Do get method. Concept. It's like I'm just trying to start that. Now I have added login.html as a welcome file. So it's not required you to keep that URL. So you see by default it started with this. Got it? So I'll type login.html also. That is not a different. That will not make.
Okay.
So whatever I get, the same. Rahul dot some password I'm giving 786. Now I just want to debug it. So I just want to see, as I told you, the first place is nothing but your do get, right? So you can go to the login servlet. I'll just remove this debugging. So first it will come to this. So I can just press submit button. So switch to the debugging mode. You see, it came here. I think I've shown this debugging in normal Java also. So here, what will be your name? T1.get request name. It will be F6. Will go to the next step, right? So your name will be Rahul. So what is your password? 3456 something, whatever. And so you can see that password also 789. So now I'm getting the name and password that I entered in the browser and just reading it by using a request object. Now I need to send a response back. So for that, I was using response.getWriter, and which will return a print writer object, and I'll use out.println and I'll just send that response back by using simple code. So here this is going to send that name, whatever we written. So this also. So after this, it will come out of the statement. That's it. So if I'm skipping all the breakpoints, you can see that output in the console. Hello Rahul, your password is it clear? Any queries?
Not from my side.
Okay. Others? Kiran or Revati?
No queries from my side.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Hopefully, I think you got it. So like tomorrow or tomorrow mostly I'll try to end up the sessions like tomorrow, or mostly if not on maybe Thursday, right? Tomorrow is Wednesday, right? So I think maybe 1 or 2 sessions. That's it. So what we'll do in that upcoming sessions, we'll just see what is a database, SQL. I think you have an idea on this database part, or not at all have knowledge on that.
Yeah, I have a little bit of idea.
Okay.
Yeah, select statements and all. Mainly select statement and merge.
Okay. No. Like I'm not even going with the Oracle. Like that terminology, I think most of you know, right? The database. Why use the database? What is the table, column, rows? That basics. I think everyone know, right? Hope so.
Yeah, to me it's okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Even
Fine.
for others, I think it's okay, right? If not, you can please go through that. I'm not sure whether. I think you mostly. I think you also know that concepts, right? Revati or Kiran.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, fine. That could be great. So I'll just what we do now. We have done this, right? So we'll just, as I told you, we'll just interact with the database. We have this user ID password, right? We'll create a table called some user or employee login table. We'll create and we'll have a user ID password in the two columns in the table, and we'll store with some values, hard coded some values, and whatever the things that we entered here will cross verify with the database. If that is present, what we do, we will just send a response back to the user like login success. If that is not present, your login failure, incorrect response, incorrect user ID password. That's a simple thing that we are going to do tomorrow session, right? So we'll see how to create a table and how we'll interact with your data collecting your database. So whenever you want to write any query in database, you need an SQL, right? So, but your SQL is not supported by a Java, right? So for that, we need to use a small concept called JDBC, and we'll see that tomorrow. And if you have time, please go through this. What is JDBC and what is this database thing? That could be more helpful. Okay.
Sure.
And wind up. Something you are asking, Amit, or no?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.